Welcome to
She's strong and sassy.
Back again. So now if you want to smash your limiting story so that you can make a positive impact for yourself and for others who are having fun with other women, then She's Strong and Sassy is definitely the training program for you. Here we define a strong and sassy woman as a she who knows her worth, accepts her amazingly imperfect self, and is not afraid to use her superpowers to empower herself in the world while elevating others alongside with her own growth. So hello there, I am Joy and I have Sassy Carol right here with me. Hello Carol.
Hello.
So in the last episode, we talked about she with vulnerability. And today we're going to go even more daring and explore the unspoken called shame. So let's talk about shame together. Brené Brown says, only when we are brave enough to explore the darkness will we discover the infinite power of our light. Shame is this intensely painful feeling or experience that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, whenever I did something that the adults did not approve of, they would say to me, shame, shame. Is it familiar for you? So I learned very quickly to do whatever it takes not to feel shame. And I was terrified of being shamed. I was anything but shame resilient. So, my dear She's, how shame resilient are you? And how good are you at practicing vulnerability and resisting shame? Note that shame resistance is not possible. As long as we care about love and connection, the fear of disconnection will always be a powerful force in our lives, and the pain caused by shame, will always be very real. But the good news is that research has shown that shame resilient, shame resilient is real, and we can learn that.
Yeah, indeed, Joy. I mean, like you, the word shame is in my vocabulary from a very, very young age. And shame is a word typically projected onto others. It is a shame, pun totally intended here, that shame can appear more frequently in our lives, that more than we would like to acknowledge. But what resilience can do for us, Joy?
In Brené Brown book, Daring Greatly, she shared about the 4 elements of shame resilience that can ultimately lead us to empathy and healing.
Yes, healing is a step towards incredible transformation. So let's dare greatly together and explore how to be shame resilient with our special guest, Datin Nora. Nora Abu Hassan is the author of the book titled Born to Smile. Born to Smile is written for everyone desperately wanting to overcome adversity and to understand what it takes to get past self-criticism and low self-esteem. Nora Tan Sri Abu Hassan writes candidly about her birth destiny, being born with facial deformity in which she was born with cleft lip and palate, and the many trials and tribulations on her journey towards self-empowerment. Born to Smile is a story of personal courage, transformation, and self-acceptance in the face of a world which challenged her to find her smile in the midst of her pain. It's a story of personal courage, transformation, and achieving self-acceptance, self-love, and self-compassion. So let's join our hands to welcome Datin Nora.
Hi everyone. Hi Carol. Hi Joy. Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure to be in this amazing show. Congratulations, ladies. You ladies rock, man. And looking
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Beautiful,
Carol.
gorgeous. Both of you.
Thank you so much for saying yes, Datin Nora. It's really an honor to have you here. And I know that
My pleasure.
you have so much to share, and we can really learn from your wisdom when it comes to this direction. Yeah. So let's start on a fun note. So Nora, tell us, what do you do when you want to feel sassy?
I love dancing.
Oh,
I love dancing. So since I mean, used to go out, to dance because I love music. I love the 80s music. And since the MCO, so what I do is that I just call a girlfriend or two sometime and we just dance. If you can see me on my Facebook, I mean, I love it. It just keeps me, it chills me down. It relaxes my mind. I would say dancing to the 80s.
I love
My
the
favorite,
80s. It's still
I
my
know,
favorite kind of music. That's real music,
precisely.
people.
Oh
Real
yeah.
music.
Earth, Wind and Fire, Cool and Gang and Shaka Khan,
Oh,
Janet
Shaka Khan.
Jackson.
Yes, I think I'm still a J-Lo girl at heart,
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Whatever music soothes my soul
Now that you
and
say
dancing.
dancing, I think that you're going to be really amused how me and Carol met. Carol, would you like to share? They were really tickle.
Yeah.
Tell
Well,
me, how
I
do you
well,
guys?
I met Joy about 14 years ago in a pole
Wow.
dancing class, and she was the instructor. So when it comes to
Wow.
dance and movement, Joy is the one to go to.
Do you still, instruct pole dancing?
No, that was really long time ago, like 2005. I started one of the first pole dancing studio in Singapore, and Carol came for
Wow.
a trial class. So that's how we met. Like, is that not amazing? And today, look at us. We are joining force to empower women together.
Fantastic. And how long do you have the studio for? How long were you teaching pole dancing, Joy?
7 years. 7 years.
Wow,
That
that's a
was
long time.
really,
I would
yes,
love
yes, it
I've never
was.
tried it, but one day I would love to.
Well, we were thinking of arranging some fun class just for our own girlfriends online on Zoom. We'll be teaching some interesting movements. If you
Why
are
not?
keen, yeah, so I'll let you know when we arrange for
I
one.
don't have a pole though. I don't have a
Yeah,
pole.
so it won't be pole dance unfortunately, but it will still be fun because there are certain moves. Sometimes you don't need a pole to feel good, to feel
Understand,
sexy.
understand. Totally get it. Okay.
Okay, so it's like, wow, we truly started on a fun and sassy note from what I can see. So this is really going to be awesome. So before we moved on, going deep into the conversation, perhaps share with us more about your book. We want to know about your book.
Well, the book is actually a memoir. Um, as Carol said earlier, I was born with a cleft lip and palate. So a cleft lip and palate is actually a split on your upper lip and the palate, and it also affects the nose. Okay, some people are only born with a cleft lip, but their palate is intact. Some people are born with a cleft palate, but their lip is intact. So I was born with a unilateral cleft lip and palate, but there is the fourth condition, which is a bilateral cleft lip and palate, where you have two splits on your upper lip and the palate. All right. So when you're born with the cleft lip and palate, we are also born with a speech impediment. Okay.
Mm.
We, with a cleft palate care, we need to go for speech therapy. Okay, I myself went for intensive speech therapy for about 1, 2.5 years. I mean, 1, 2.5 years from the age of 7.5 to 9 years of age. And my operations I had about 8 to 10 operations
Wow.
from the age of 3 months right up to 30 years of age where I had to repair the lip, the palate, and of course the nose. So the book Born to Smile is a memoir about how I felt, the multiple surgeries I had to go through, and also the verbal abuse, or you call it bullying, that I had to endure before the transformation. So after the transformation, I had an issue with self-acceptance and how I seek for external help to finally said to myself, hey, you know what? This is my birth destiny. I'm proud of all my scars. I'm proud of all the experiences. And I asked myself, what else was next? Hence, the birth of the book Born to Smile. Currently,
Mm.
if you look at data, 600 babies, out of 600 babies, one is born with a cleft lip and palate. We're talking about obviously worldwide. I mean, it doesn't, you're talking about any race, any color, any religion, and there's no, until now there is no scientific causes of to why a baby is born with a cleft lip and palate, but
Mm.
genetically plays a very high role, meaning that if you have a, if you have your forefathers having a child with a cleft lip and palate, chances are it will run in the family. This is maybe, it's not a definite thing.
Mm.
So
Well,
yeah.
thanks for the sharing, Nora. Carol is not Nora the perfect person to talk about this topic that we have today.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah, so really excited to see um, what Nora has to say about all these really deep questions that we're going to explore. So, in Brené Brown's book, Daring Greatly, she shared about that shame is biology and autobiography. And the first element of shame resilience is recognizing shame and understanding its triggers. So, how have you experienced shame in the past as a woman? And when, if ever, has shame become a part of your personal narrative and identity?
Nora.
Nora?
Okay. Okay. Yes. Um. I'm not. I'm going to look at it at two parts. When you said woman, I'm going to say child because
Okay.
I only knew that I was born with a cleft lip and palate, basically, or I was different. Even though my surgery was at 3 months, and I had some when I was about 4 or 3, 4 years old, but I cannot remember obviously. But when I
Mm.
started going to school, primary one, and again I'm going to what do you call this? Say that the transformation of a child having a cleft lip and palate is gradual. Okay, because the plastic surgeon cannot do your nose, your lip at the same time. Remember, I said my last surgery was at 30 years old.
Yeah.
So when you go to school, looking different because usually the plastic surgeon will repair the lip, but even though you repair the lip, it is not defined because the repair of the lip also takes time, even 2 or 3 times, and your nose will still be somewhat different. So when you start going to school, that's when the kids will start calling you, and you
Mm.
know it to be true because when you go back to the house and looking at yourself in the mirror, then you know, hey, you know what? I am different. I am born with this situation. So that could be very shameful for a young child
Mm.
going to school, looking different, and your peer group calling you names. It's something somewhat very, I would say, very traumatized. And that lasted for me personally up to 17 years old. But like I said, we don't know the stories of the other cleft lip and palate patients. But again, this is my own personal story. So some cleft lip and palate patients are still being, I would say, called names even they have not, if they have not gone for their revision. Because when you have a CLP, there is two part of it. You have the repair work and you have the revision work or the cosmetic work.
Mm.
Yeah. So it is again a process.
Mm. So it
So my
seems like
answer would
Nora.
be yes.
So it seems like Nora, for you, shame is really closely tied, isn't it, to your growing up years? You
Yeah.
experience it at probably the first moment that your brain was, could even
Mm.
comprehend what was going on. You already was experiencing. It was one of the first experience as a child, right? Like that's wow, that's really hard.
It is what it is. If people were to pick up the book, I had a chapter on the war zone. I actually said a few incidences of being called names. I picked out a few where it resonated with me until now. But of course, I've
Mm.
forgiven everybody. Okay, but that is why Joy and Carol, if I talk, I always stress the fact about any bully, about anti-discrimination, about stigma, because currently I belong to Facebook social group of the Catholic and Palette Malaysia, and I met many adults and I met many mothers. I'm talking about now lately since I embarked on the book, and even in 2020, the mothers are still coming to me and telling me that their children are still being bullied in
Being bullied.
school right now. So it is, what do you call this, for a child at the age of 7, 8, 9, going to school looking different and being called names is quite, I would say, traumatized. And it's a very emotional struggle for them and for the mothers, because the children will go back and telling the mothers. And as a mother, looking at the child and understanding the child's pain, it is not an easy thing. That is why I always send out a very strong message about anti-bullying
Mm.
for society at large, and to,
Mm.
you know, to treat people the same nevertheless. It is I would say a process, but somebody has, I mean, somebody has to say something.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, it's like hearing you recounting your story, Nora. I mean, I really felt, I feel you very much, and also, it brings back a lot of trigger as well, of my childhood. I mean,
Correct.
as Joy had said earlier in the beginning of the show, when for me, my first experience of shame
Mm,
was when I was a child, and it really took space within my mind, and also
correct.
in the way that I saw myself as a person. Like for example, I was shamed as a child, for running around naked. Then being a child,
Right.
you're innocent, and you don't care about your you know your body in a negative way. Let's put it this way. And then adults will point at me and go, "Ee, shame, shame. Yeah, shameful. You shouldn't show yourself. You shouldn't be doing this. You are a girl. You shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be crying." And I'm ashamed for
Mm.
being expressive in my emotion as well. I was shamed for speaking out. Unlike you, I never actually gotten down to experience bullying, but I really feel for you in terms of being in that space that you are
Mm.
different, and then you are being told that why you shouldn't be you, and that is something that I can really relate, because all those shame that was deeply rooted within my childhood, that eventually became my inner voice, and it was always constantly telling me why I shouldn't or couldn't do something, and it's always
Correct.
holding me back. Yeah, so that was my whole narrative, that the word shame had actually deeply embedded within my life, and how I grew up as a child, and into adulthood. Yeah, what
But
about
of
you,
course, yeah.
No.
Nora?
No, but of course we're okay now because we are bearing our souls. I mean, um, when I wanted to do the book, there was some, I'm going to say this, there was some people that said to me, Nora, why do you want to do the book? Because, you've gone for your operations, nobody knows. I said, why not? Because I know that, that hopefully with this book, it could help, the people or the adults or the mothers that going through a clapping and palate. When my mother had me, we did have a social group then, and she was basically alone, and she had to manage a child, and it was quite an experience for her. And now I want the parents to be open about it. I want
Mm,
people to understand the emotional struggle behind it, and I want people to say that those having a clapping and palate, you know what, it is okay. This is what God has given us. It's okay, but you have to go for all your proper treatments, your speech
Mm.
therapy, and all that, and you'll be fine. You will be fine.
Mm.
I want to instill the faith and the positivity, because this is what God has decided to give us, and we will take it with a strong will. But
Mm.
sometimes they need that little support.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I mean,
Beautiful. Thanks.
I'm addressing to the people with clapping and palate here,
Mm.
or
But I
any.
think that
eh,
it really applies to any challenges where we feel somewhat shameful about this. I think like your book could be relevant to anyone who feels some shame, who feel that they're somewhat different in a so-called negative way, right? And I love how Nora, by writing your book, you are normalizing the condition. Okay, yes. So some of us we are born this way. So what? Okay, we'll go
mm,
fix it. So what? Life goes on. It's not a big deal. You're making what can become very problematic and can lead to a really unhappy lives. You're changing. You're doing psychoeducation and helping to support people to change that narrative, because that narrative can be potentially life changing in a not a positive way. So by writing a book and sharing your story, people have a chance to say, oh, okay, maybe it's not that big a deal after all. So I think you really did a great thing by
Thank
making
you.
that decision, and by ignoring people who are coming from a place of shame. From what I'm hearing, I'm not sure, but like, why are you writing that book? Sounds a bit like, oh, you should sweep that under the carpet, right? And
No,
that's really
yeah.
the wrong attitude. And I love that you stood up for what you believe in, and because you did that, you are helping other people to have permission to do the same. So, Nora, that was
Thank
amazing
you.
thing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. But I want to just say this. Sadly, I'm not going to mention names. And I know a young adult, a guy, and he has gone for all his revision work. But recently, he had to break up with his girlfriend because the brother didn't accept him because he had a cleft palate.
Mm,
I mean, like, can you think? Can you just figure that out? I'm talking about 2020. People are still
yeah.
discriminating.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that blows my mind, and that is why I always talk. Because
Mm,
again, even though a child, I mean, a person is having a CLP, it doesn't mean that your child will have a CLP. I've got three beautiful children. Alhamdulillah, they don't have CLP. So again, why does society look at all these some? I'm talking about some segment, yeah. Excuse me here, not everybody, but
mm,
discrimination, stigma does exist.
mm. Thank you, Nora. So, um, when
And
it
this is
comes
a
to
real thing. This is not drama.
oh
It's not.
yeah,
It's
definitely.
not
I mean,
drama. This is
you grew up like that.
real
It was challenging. It's
human
definitely
stories.
real. Yes,
Yeah.
it was definitely real. So, well, as for me, when it comes to shame, as an adopted child who was not properly explained about what was going on in my life, the only way I could make sense of my world to myself at that time was that, oh, then I must be unlovable and unworthy. That's why mommy gave me up, because it was the only thing that made sense to a small child, and she got no one else to talk to make sense of the situation.
Mm,
So unfortunately, that became my core belief for the next 30 years. And as you can
right.
see, this story screams shame. So then the motivation behind all my thoughts and feelings and behavior in that 30 years was to make sure that I do not feel more shame than I already felt in my heart. So it was challenging. So I would say that I truly, truly can resonate with the autobiography part, which I can see also now that, wow, Nora, I think like you would have gone beyond what I'm feeling in my childhood experience. But this is also why I think I'm so passionate about the topics that we decide in this show, because I want to talk about what really matters. And I think like here specifically, I'm talking about matters of the wounded heart. So that we don't have to suffer alone unnecessarily. And I can see, Nora, that in your own way with the book that you are also doing the same thing. So it's really awesome that we are all playing a part here.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
second shame resilient element is practicing critical awareness. So, what are some of the messages, either from yourself to yourself or from society, that you think was driving your shame during that period?
For me,
Mm.
well, the labeling, of course, and then the verbal abuse. In the Malay terminology, when you're born with a CLP, it is referred to as sumbang, sengit, and sengau. I'm not sure whether you all have heard the term, and that was basically my nickname when I was growing up. Okay,
Oh,
and yes, they used to call me that. And sengau is actually somebody talking with a very high nasal tone. As you can
mm,
see, again, earlier on, I said if you're born with a cleft palate and you have not gone for your speech psychotherapy, you'll be talking with a very high nasal tone. So that was my nickname. And obviously, when people keep reminding you, on, I wouldn't say on a daily basis, but on a quite and often basis, because when I was in primary, I went to the government school in the morning and the religious school in the afternoon, or vice versa, depending on the semester. So it would happen at both, schools. So it was a double whammy for me.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, even again, if you pick up the book, when I was in Australia, it's all in the book. It's there. Yeah, people do
Mm.
make fun, but it is what it is, and I suppose it makes us stronger. I would say that Oprah Winfrey's quotation really resonates with me. Turn your pain into wisdom. Because at the
Oh,
end of the day, we want, you could either go down here or go up there, and we don't want to go down. We want to go up, hopefully. And you have to seek that whatever help that you need to be able to get out from that thing that you're facing, because we cannot be there. It's not good for us. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You need to first and foremost, you need to acknowledge that you have a problem. Look, I have a problem. I need help. Okay, whatever help that you again, you have to knock at many doors. Some doors will be open, but it's not going to work for you. So knock at the right doors. Even if it's the wrong door, keep knocking until you get your solution.
oh, I love
Whatever.
your sense of grit. It's so like
Yeah.
infectious.
Yeah, well, I see that the three of us have a lot of similarities here, because like when I was actually wanting to write my book. In fact, the thing is that it took me about 10 years, to decide to write my book, because for me, shame was a big thing.
Right.
And I have been discouraged from writing my book and sharing my story of psychological abuse, because it's like, nobody wants to know about it. This is something that is shameful because you've experienced it. So for me, the messages that I have always been getting is in short, is this anxiety of authenticity. Means is I feel anxious, being true to myself, and not being, by not sharing, I'm not being true. And I love the fact that the both of you mentioned earlier that by writing this book, it's a form of healing, but at the same time, it's putting the message out there. And then for Nora yourself, you're normalizing this whole situation, because you are it's not that you wanted to, or you choose to be born with a
Obviously not.
cleft
Yeah.
lip and palate, right? And then it's like, and to have to live through life and having to go through all of this is just incredible, right? And then so it's like, the messages that I've been getting, and the main driving force for me is the loss of credibility in particular. Because if I were to put it out there, I'm at that time I'm a working professional. No, does it lose my credibility as a person? So that
No.
was the driving force, of my behind my shame, and always constantly feeling that I'm not good enough. And that was really bad for me, and I actually led me down to a bout of depression as well.
Right. Right. So how long have your book is already in outside in the market, Carol?
Yes, yeah, it's been launched last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Accessible in Malaysia or just
No, it's actually
on?
in Singapore at the moment. It's not available in Malaysia yet.
I'm sorry. What was the name of the title? If
It's
you
called Breakthrough. It's a co-authoring effort with 20 over world authorities on overcoming adversity. And one of them is someone that I really look up to, is world's number one motivational speaker, Mr. Les Brown.
yes, amazing. He's amazing. And what was your shame all about? If you don't mind me asking, I would like to get to know. I mean,
Yeah,
what
the
was
whole
the
shame of going, having been through a psychological abuse. I have been in 13 years of a psychological abusive relationship, then marriage, and literally,
understand?
yeah, battered and bruised at the end of it as well.
Wow,
Left without a home, left without money. Yeah, so
wow.
that was what happened in short. And well, having to recognize the fact that because, of certain trauma that happened in my life, that I put myself in that. So this shame was there that was driving me, not wanting to recognize my own personal journey, not recognizing what had happened to me. I literally swept everything under the carpet. And also the shame when I wanted to really let it go and share the story, I have been told by well-wishing, well-meaning families and friends not to share, because that would be opening a can of worms. I would be opening myself to specific attacks. So they were worried for me. But then, as both Joy and Nora, you have mentioned, by putting it out there is actually a form of healing and also a form of helping other people to
Precisely.
to transform.
Precisely. I mean, lately, there was another mother, and she wrote a book about her son in Malay. I think his son is about now, and I'm so proud. And they're all coming out right now, and I hope that a lot of them, more, a lot of them, will tell their story.
Yes. Yes.
Why
I think
not? If it can
by
help and inspire, why
mhm.
not?
Yes, I think by us telling our story, and I love the fact I didn't realize I didn't join the dots, but then like, oh my gosh, all three of us, Richie wrote our autobiography in one form or shape, so that's pretty amazing to me. So all three of us called out shame, right? And like and when the two of you shared that there was well wishes, is expressing concern about this thing you want to publish. Well, I also had my fair share of it, and it's pretty interesting because I really hesitated at that point, right? When these
Mm.
people come, and I'm like, yeah, because so shame. Just someone for Chinese, right? You wouldn't want to like hang. We actually have a phrase for it, to hang your dirty laundry. But we actually have a saying for it, Chinese idiom. So it felt like I was doing exactly that, hanging my dirty laundry publicly, right? By choosing to write this book. I actually have no idea what put that conviction in my heart to still went ahead with it. I said, yeah, I really, to be honest, I don't know how my family going to react to this. Probably not going to be too positive, I think. But I really want to tell my story, and
And
for
why
me,
not?
the motivation was I wanted people to get the message, which I thought was one of the most important message about being a human, is that you can never guarantee how life happens, who's going to hurt you. It's guaranteed that something bad is going to happen to everyone because it's part and parcel of life, right? And then we have this physical flesh that it's so we have disease and cancer or a car accident. Anything can happen, but the reality is you have to take responsibility for your own healing, no matter who was it who inflicted the pain, whether it's the heavens or whether it's a human. At the end of the day, healing is your responsibility. If you are sitting there in your life waiting for the person to come around, wake up, and then apologize to you, then you're just wasting your life, because that may or may not happen, but your life is just passing you by. So I'm really passionate about that, and my book is really more about what I did. I actually shared very little about the challenge, but it's just to give a background, chapter one, and then the rest of the book was about what I did to heal myself, because I felt really passionate until today about I guess that's what affects, influence the work that I do, that we have to take responsibility. If the person come and say, apologize to you and try and make amends in some ways, that's a
Mm.
bonus, but don't sit there waiting. The healing has to come
Precisely.
from yourself, and you have to do whatever it takes, like what Nora said earlier. Just keep knocking on doors, solve your own problem. If you're knocking on the wrong door, who cares? Just knock on another door,
On the
just
door. Yeah.
until
Yeah.
your problem is solved. But don't sit there and wait for other people to help you, or wait
Yeah.
for the one to hurt you to help you, because that's really not the best way to live. So I think that I'm really loving this, because this shame conversation, I didn't expect it's going to be so it's so close to home for the three of us. So it's pretty amazing. So coming back to this second aspect of shame resilient, for me, I had no idea, even though I was so-called educated and intelligent, but I actually had no idea that shame was driving my behavior, because on the outside I look so confident, I have my toilet roll long list of achievement and certification and so on, and also society was validating my achievement. So I felt like, oh, I'm looking good, and
Yeah.
society is agreeing that, oh, I'm looking good. So I had no idea, no inkling at all, that I was actually coming from a place of lack. that I was not good enough. My behavior was driven because I was feeling I was not good enough. That's why I was doing so much certification and so on, because I didn't think that just by myself alone that I'm good enough. So it only happened when I took my life coaching certification that slowly the truth dawned upon me. So because together with my coursemate, we had to practice on each other to in order to do the certification. So all the questions that I was being asked by my coursemate smashed the illusion that I was living in for the longest time. And that was really a life-changing wake-up call for me. So at that point, I was horrified at the truth when it finally came. And I thought, okay, maybe I should just drop this and, keep the skeleton back in the cupboard. And then, okay, let's not do this life coaching business because it's too scary, and don't address my own issue. Or I have to take a deep breath, adjust my own, pardon my pun, like address my own shit, right? Before I be a life
Yeah.
coach for that. So it was a really tough decision because at that point I was very scared and I was very frightened at the truth that was before me. So I really am grateful to that Joy who finally took a deep breath and said, okay, you know what, fine, let's just open the cupboard and just take out all the skeleton and deal with it one by one. So that was this long journey of cleaning up my shame and developing all the inner resources to heal and empower myself and to learn what it truly means to be resilient, the real resilient of the heart. So that for me was really my lifelong shame journey. Now,
Understand.
the third shame resilient element is reaching out, the ability to reach out, right? This is a hot topic, I think, in our show. We need to own and share our story, reaching out to those that we can trust. But why is it that women struggle to do that, to reach out to others when they need help?
There are, okay, from my experiences, there are women who does reach out. There are, but there are a percentage of women that do not want to reach out because I think they want to keep up appearances. They want to show to people that they are okay where they're actually not okay. But we know that they're not okay. But to me, even if you want to reach out, I think that you have to reach out to a very, I would say, a confidante that you can really trust. Because if you reach out to the wrong person,
Mm,
it may be problematic.
mm,
Because some people, okay, we three are brave enough to come out there and share our experiences, okay, and share our stories, and we want to help and inspire people through whatever we've been through. But some people do not want to share it. We understand that. Not everybody is prepared to share stories, but they need to talk about it. They need to get the extra help. So, but I think that they have to, again, talk to a person that can really trust. Because if you start talking to the wrong person, then it may backfire. I don't know whether you all agree with me or not.
Yeah,
mm,
definitely
But
agree
some
with you.
women, yeah, you know what I'm saying. But some of them want to keep up appearances for whatever reasons known to them.
Yeah, well, I totally, I agree with you on that, about the fact that by reaching out, you are away that's fearful of how others will perceive you in the end. And that
Correct.
was actually
Correct.
one of the reasons why I feel a lot of women, and what I observe a lot of women are not reaching out. And also, being modern educated women a lot of the times, and we
Mm,
don't want to be seen as being powerless, right? It's like, by reaching out, by being vulnerable, it felt somehow felt like giving your power away, right? And for me, I feel that, it is actually the dread of being saying that, I told you so. I told you
mm.
so. When you reach out, people will come back to you and say, yeah, see, I told you so, you shouldn't be doing this. Yeah. So that
mm,
was that was what
So,
I think.
yeah. So again, being surrounded by people who are positive, people who are sincere, people are non-judgmental is very important. And you know what I'm saying?
yes.
And if you have one or two friends that you can really talk, like really bare your soul, that's, I would say, you're very lucky. Again, let me repeat, not everybody is willing to share their innermost secret or innermost demons to the whole world. So we have to understand that.
Mm,
It's okay. Not everybody is alike.
Mm. I think in a way that's why we are doing this show. So for those who is comfortable enough, brave enough, because we're all at different stages of our own growth and evolution, isn't it? So if
Yeah.
you're ready, join us in this conversation, right? But if
Yeah,
you're not,
sure.
just
Time.
watch. You don't have to even show face, right? You can just watch it and just think about it for yourself, because I feel that that's also one category of women that we are trying to reach out to, women who's not ready to come out and talk about this publicly, but they still need the help, the resources, the
I
advice,
know. Yeah.
tap on our experience, a woman who's ready to come out, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So I feel like our show has important part to play to reach out to these women so that they still have the resources, but we're not pushing you. You don't have to
No.
come
No.
out, right?
Yeah.
In your own time, we're here, like She Network is here. We know when you're ready, we're
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, listen to our conversation. So I felt like this was an important piece, because everywhere else that I see, in general, mostly all the conversation at Facebook Live we have is about other topics. They're not really about matters of the heart. It's more about
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. It's about
Understand.
social media skill. I mean, all these are important and relevant, but I feel like these are also very, very
Oh, it is.
important
It's
conversation.
very, very
Yeah,
important.
and we don't have enough of it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I always say to people that, you know what, the pen is in your hand. Okay, you have to create your own story. So to echo Joy, if you feel that you have a problem, now you have to accept that and seek help. We are here to give you the tools. We are
Mm.
here to give you the, I would say, the support. But you have to decide to pick yourself up. We can't
Mm.
do it for you. We
Yes.
cannot do it
Oh,
for
so
you.
beautiful. Yes, yes. So we're just here with the tools. We're ready for you, but take your time.
Exactly.
So you can sort it by yourself first, and then come to us later. But we are here, and I wanted that message to be loud and clear, so that no woman need to feel like they're alone again. I mean, we're in the year
Yeah.
2020. What alone? So
Yeah.
social media,
Yeah.
Google is all just your
Exactly.
fingertip away. So there is no excuse, I think, in a time and age like this, not to take responsibility for your own healing, to
Yeah.
take the help that you need. But I
And
understand, because of the culture, there's a lot of barriers, like you're conditioned a certain way, so it can be mentally easier said than done.
I know, I know. And then the other thing is, admittedly, I mean, Asian, okay, this is going to be a bit controversial, okay? Asian families, I don't know whether you both agree, they tend to not talk about
Yes.
unpleasant things. They tend
Yeah.
to wipe it under the carpet, unlike
Yes.
the Western
Yes.
people. But for me, I've got my three kids, okay? I told them, talk to me anything, even though it's not something that I don't want to hear, tell me about it. It is okay, because I think we have to change the perception. We have to have an
Yes.
open communication now, not like, okay, let's not talk about it, because why? Because this, because no. I think we have to change that. Do you
Yes.
both
I,
agree?
I love it. That's why we're having all this conversation on this show, because I'm like, enough of sweeping under the carpet. I grew up that way.
Precisely.
I paid a huge price for that way. Like that 30 years that I've lost, I will never be able to get it back. I could have lived my life a very different way, more wholehearted living, but I couldn't. I was so wounded because of the culture I was living in. Everyone was acting that everything is fine. I don't feel fine at all. Like during Chinese New Year and family gathering, everybody acting like, oh, everything okay. I don't feel okay at all, but nobody want to have that conversation with me. So I learned to not speak up. I was
We are
taught, right?
changing.
Just
We are
pretend that.
changing.
Yes. So now I'm like, hell, I'm going to speak up from now on. I have enough of not speaking up, growing up that way. So I think that
Yeah.
shame plays a big part. We are afraid that we're being perceived as not good enough, and I also think that for women, well, at least for some of the women that I teach, we think that we are not significant enough for other people's care and attention. I think that's one of the reasons why women don't reach out for help when they need help. And many of the women that I have coached have this mentality. So they think that other people have more important problems to deal with. Lah. So when I ask them why, you know you have this challenge and why you're not reaching out, and they say, and it's again an Asian. I'm not sure. It seems to be like an Asian woman thing. They're all busy with their own thing, and I always get the same kind of answer, and that's really alarming for me. And because they perceive themselves that way, that they're not important enough. how can then they ask from other people the kind of care and attention that they are not giving to themselves? So that is why in my training, I stress a lot on self-compassion, because it is so alarming how foreign a concept that is for many people. And in this recent, it was only 2 weeks ago, there was one of my coachee when I mentioned that, we need to work on your self-compassion. And she said, and she asked me, and actually this coachee is older than me, and she was so puzzled by this whole self-compassion piece. And then she asked me, does self-compassion mean self-pity? That
Oh,
completely broke my heart. So we're talking about very real things here. This is the situation we have at the moment. That really, because she said that, I was completely taken aback. I mean, I gave a straight face, but my heart was breaking. I was like, what? I mean, my gosh, she asked me, oh, what is self-compassion? Is it like same like self-pity? And then I was like speechless. So that really renewed my motivation, in fact, to push self-compassion training even more in the coming new year, because, oh my gosh, this society, we really need more of this, something that should be very basic and fundamental and crucial life skill. We don't know what is self-compassion. We understand being compassionate to other people because we all have been taught that way, but to redirect that compassion to ourselves, foreign to most people. So I find it very alarming, deeply disturbing, and I think that people like us who can make a difference, who can psychoeducate, we have to do our part so that we can support those who still don't have a voice yet or have not yet grown their voice.
we know that self-love is very important. In order for us to love another person, we have to love ourselves first,
Yes.
right? I mean,
Yes.
when I was having my issues to non-acceptance, before seeking for external help, I'm going to admit, I admitted in the book that I had some situational problem with my children, and then I used to use them as a punching bag, and it wasn't their fault. And then I realized that, hey, it is not my kid's fault that that I had issue with my own self-acceptance. So I sit for it, and I realized that I cannot use the kids as my punching bag. It is a real thing, so you have to accept yourself first in order for you to have, because not accepting yourself will eventually have, I would say, affect your relationship with people around you, people that you love. Your kids, your friends, your spouses, perhaps. So you have to learn to really love yourself.
Nora, I think that thank you for your authenticity and vulnerability. I think that's a very brave thing for a mother to share, because most will be like slipping under the carpet. I used to do that in the past, no need to mention now, but you actually share it so that other women can learn from it. Other mothers can go and think about it for themselves. How do I interact with my kids? Do I have like my own issues that I actually act out or manifest on my kids? And I think that's a really important question that to ask yourself as a mother, especially in this culture that we bring it and we watch our mother doing that we might think that it's okay to do the same ourselves. So thank you for giving people that opportunity to think about where they stand. How am I
Think about
behaving?
it, yeah.
Yes, so that's really beautiful. So the fourth shame resilient element is speaking shame, and which is, I think Nora just perfectly, like, beautifully demonstrated it. Talking about talking about how we feel and asking for what we need, because women were so used to giving people what they need rather than asking for what we ourselves need. So in this aspect, Nora, what have you observed with the women in your midst?
When we talk,
So in terms of a women,
maybe you can elaborate.
being willing and being able to ask for what they need and ask for what they want. So what have you observed about the women around you? How good are they at doing that, at asking for what they need?
Some are still hesitant. There is a mixture of women who are willing to be open. I'm going to say that not all are willing to open. Some are still having things. And okay, let's say example. Okay, Again, this may be a provocative thing that I'm going to say, but let's say somebody having issues with the relationship. Let's say they're not happy, relationship, marriage, but they stay in because why? Because why? Because they can't live because of A, B, C, D, but they let themselves be in that situation because they want to please everybody around them, but
Mm,
not themselves.
mm,
So that's a very, I would say, a very strong example that they are not willing to come out from that situation because they are pleasing everybody, but not me.
Mhm.
I don't know whether you come across that situation or not.
Oh my God,
mm,
Nora, you have just kind of like spoken like this was like me, I mean, seriously, this was really me in the past. And
Okay.
that was also one of the reasons why I stayed in my marriage that wasn't working at all. Because
mm,
it is less stressful going, the easier way. And this is actually what I observe in a lot of the times when women who are that I observe that they do not ask for it because it's less stressful, right? And also, the fact that avoiding conflict. The thing about women, I observe, I feel that a lot of the times we just want to be peaceful. We just want to make sure that everything's okay, So we want to avoid conflict. So that's why we don't want to ask for help. And as what Joy had said earlier as well, because if we were to ask, means it's like, we have to actually be vulnerable, and then there's always this fear that's coming in the way, and then we fear, we being authentic, it just gets too stressful. And then also the fact that they didn't think that we are significant enough. Yeah, and I can definitely relate with that because I didn't feel I was significant enough, to actually ask for what I need. So I kept giving, and then nothing. I ended up with nothing at all. What about you, Joy?
mm. So I'm just thinking in my work, as a strength coach, I know for a fact that one of women's real life strength is esteem builder. We are natural at this, probably wired in our DNA. But it is also interesting to note that research also shows that courage and empathic are our learned behavior. Now, learned behavior means that we are good at this, good performance, but it does not necessarily energize us. However, I would like to think, despite what research have shown, I think that if we have a safe and nurturing environment where such matters of the heart are being discussed like the way we are right now, and we're able to support and learn from one another, we can learn to feel energized about using more courage for ourselves in our lives and to balance the scale between giving and receiving love for more sustainable well-being. I think that if you have the right the impulsive psychology, we also have this concept called the power of the situation, meaning that yes, we think that, oh, in this kind of situation I'll behave this way or that, but then when the actual situation comes, we might notice ourselves behaving differently because we're giving in, conforming to the 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 environment, the energy around us, that even though I rather not behave this way, but everyone's doing that, so okay, fine, like what can I do? And everyone's do that. So the power of the situation is real. And there's so many experiments, research experiments, psychology experiment that has proven and made that point. So I think sometimes we also have to, coming back to the point of practicing self-compassion, we're just trying to conform because we remember, like, shame comes because we have a need for connection. That's why there's such a thing called shame. We want to be perceived a certain way, we want to be accepted, we want to be loved. So I think if we have been behaving in ways that doesn't embrace wholehearted living, that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with that because we're all human, right? But it's having that important piece of self-awareness and self-realization. Oh, I didn't know, but now you know. So now the important question is not what you did in the past, but the important piece here is now that you know, what are you going to do about it, right? Whether you do something or nothing, all these are choices, right? Even non-action is a choice, and all
Correct.
this action, non-action, they have their consequences. And that's why we have this kind of conversations that we have, so that we can psychoeducate,
Mm.
right? And then we have women networks and organizations to support one another, because this is not an easy road to actually own up and say, okay, I want a different life, I want a better life, right? I want to stop hiding, I want to stop living shame-filled life, I want a different kind of life. It takes courage, and I think when you have a community, that's easier. And that's when you have a community, you can use the energy from your community to feel energized about what you're about to do. I'm going to do something radically different in my life now, versus you're alone. Right. Okay. So maybe you're not so crazy about activating your courage to do this all by yourself, right? Which is a very normal behavior. So I think even though research is saying that, when it comes to saying that, we are really good at esteem building other people's as self-esteem, but when it comes to courage and being empathic, that's our learned behavior. But I think with the right environment, we can change, right? We can have new research that says something differently, but we have to come together to make that kind of research findings possible. So currently the research is like this, and I'm very pro research because it's a big part of a big piece of my work. However, I also am being daring here and visionary here and say, why can't we change the research, right? The next research finding is going to be very different, but we have to make the right choices collectively. Showing up for one another, showing up for ourselves, and doing it together. So speaking of that, so how do you think then, let's go to the practical piece, right? So if let's say our audience like, okay, fine, I'm convinced, right? I'm ready to do this. So in your experience, how can women then start building shame resilience? What are the practical things that they can do to start moving in that direction?
Me, right? I think first and foremost, they have to embrace their strengths, whatever strength that they have. Okay, and they have to have a gratitude list where they write down their accomplishments, whether it's a small accomplishment, big accomplishment, whatever that may be. I'm a good mother, I've been a good wife, I'm a good cook, I've done my diploma, my degree. List down all your accomplishments. Okay, and also importantly, to surround yourself with people that are positive, that people that's going to lift you higher. Okay, that's people that's going to give you words of support, words of encouragement. They're going to say, hey, you know what, I believe in you, you've done a great job. Okay, stay away from the naysayers, stay away, even if they're around you, just you know. And seriously, like I said, people come and tell me, why do you want to do the book? Because this and that, but I do want to do the book. And the other thing is self-belief. Because if you don't believe in yourself, ask yourself, who is going to believe in you?
Yeah,
I know it's
well
easier
said.
said than done. I know it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
But you have that very strong self-belief, have faith, determination, and lots of internal strength.
Yeah, I love what you just put
And
up, Nora. Awesome.
okay.
Yes, please.
Nora,
And
go
the other
on.
thing
Yeah,
is,
it's full of
if
tips. Go
yeah, and
on.
the other thing is, if you need to seek for external help, you know what? Go for it.
It's
Because
okay.
sometimes we are not able to help ourselves. We understand that. That's okay. That's okay. Look for external help. There's nothing wrong in seeking for outside help. Nothing
Mm,
wrong.
yeah, yeah, totally with you on that. Yeah, well,
Seriously.
as
Yeah.
for me, it is actually very, very important to recognize first, to have that awareness, to recognize the internal conversation that's going on within our mind that's telling us what not to, right? And then find ways to address them. Okay, one of the ways that you question if the dialogues are true. So, people will tell you certain things, and if you're telling yourself that, okay, this is actually not going to happen, is it really true? Question that. And then, as what Nora has put it, yeah, totally 100% agree, which is having the faith in yourself. Then the next thing is to find the truth. To find the truth is first having the faith, and then surround yourself, with people who will tell you the truth as well,
Yeah.
and to support your personal growth. And that's really, really important. And stay away from the naysayers, right? That's actually a part of finding the truth, because these are the people who's going to pull you down further and not going to lift you up. So I'm definitely aligned with you on that, Nora. 100%.
Thank you.
So for me, I think you need to speak to someone that you feel safe with and who you know cares about you, about all these conversations that you have inside your heart, in your head,
Mm.
so that you can have that support and you can have perspective, because when you talk to yourself, it's very one-sided, right? And then the more you talk in that language, and if it's not a nurturing language, then you're stuck going to believe all this nonsense that you're saying to yourself, because there's no one else to bounce back on. And that's why coaches are so important, right? You can have that coach, or you can have just that trusted friend that you
Yes,
can verbalize what is all stuck here in your head, so that the person can support you, that emotional, energetic support, but also perspective. The person can ask you, is it true you're saying this, but that's not my experience of you, right? And I think those are important pieces that you will never have if you just keep having that by yourself, solo conversation. And chances are it will just go down the rabbit hole. You'll just spiral downwards, because you don't have perspective. Sometimes perspective you can only have that when you speak to someone else. That, of course, the trust piece is extremely important. As Nora has said, speak to the right person. Don't
listen,
share your vulnerability, your own truth, your own private story with the wrong person. So make sure that it's someone that you feel safe with, and someone that really this person loves and care about me. I think the
correct.
other thing is, again back to self-compassion. I think whether it's challenging, it's strange, or it's familiar, start having that self-compassionate relationship with yourself, and believe that you are worthy and whole just as you are, exactly the way you are, and not because of the things that you do, right? Or because I cook, and I'm so efficient in my work, and I'm this and that. That's all fine, well and great, but just know that just being you, who you are, the beingness of you, you are worthy enough. You don't have to do all this to make a point. You do all this to express who you are, but you don't do all this to seek approval, right? Of course, all that I've said, like Nora, I've said, easier said than done, naturally. So I think speaking with someone safe, and baby steps towards a self-compassionate relationship are great first step to take. So maybe it is difficult for me, from I never have the belief that I'm whole and complete, and then now you're expecting me to install it from nothing. Yes, it's challenging. So I think the practical first step would be find someone safe that you can talk to, and then what does it mean to be self-compassionate, right? There's tons of resources out there. Check out Brene's Brown book, and just take baby step. What is the one thing you can say? Can you look at yourself in the mirror every day and just say, I love you, right? And just do that for 1 week, 1 month. Just treat it like a game. And I love playing games with myself. Just like a game, and then see what happens. What is the worst thing that can happen? You hate yourself? Cannot be, right? So what is the worst thing that can happen? Nothing. What is the best thing that can happen? Oh my God, like you have no idea what is the best thing that can happen. So I think let's start with baby steps. So that's for the individual, the women, that's what they can do. But then, Nora, how about women communities such as like She Network? How can we support women in cultivating shame resilience in their direction here towards self-compassion?
I think what you guys are doing now is fantastic. You're having these Facebook lives, you're getting people on board talking about real issues, real struggles, and how we can empower and inspire people. And you got to get a group of people that are non-judgmental, who are sincere, who are compassionate, who are who are humanitarian. I think that's a great start. Honestly, I do applaud the both of you for having this amazing network. Keep going, keep moving, and keep doing what you love doing. I think this is great.
Thank you, Nora. Thank you for being a part of
Thank
the
you.
action now.
No, I mean,
Yes.
honestly, for you to be putting up this amazing show where people can come in, like you said, some people they want to talk, but some people they just want to listen, and it will help them. It will
Mm,
help them. They will get some nuggets, some wisdom, some take-home messages. I am sure of that. But maybe they're just they're not ready to come out, which is
mm,
okay. That's
yeah.
fine. We understand that.
Yeah. And like you said, Nora, it is very, very important to engage in dialogues and discussion within the community. And also what Joy had said, providing a very, very
Yes.
safe space for us, to be vulnerable, because not everybody can take that if you are out to
Yeah,
share.
of course.
And
We
also the
understand
next,
that.
yeah, and then and being in a supportive women environment is also
Mm,
very, very important to cultivate and develop empathy. I found that this is somehow missing in this modern world as we get more, connected on social media, but we are also
Yeah,
quite
yeah,
disconnected. So having a
yeah.
community to develop empathy is and to encourage empathy is very, very,
Very
very
smart.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then one of the things that I would like to share, which is actually something that I am using it as a guide for myself, quoting Brene Brown herself, the two most powerful words that you can share with someone is,
Which is
is me too. Sharing your
Mm,
story and say, I hear
fantastic.
you, me too. Yeah, this is
mm,
how Women Network can
Fantastic.
actually to share.
mm,
Fantastic. That's beautiful, Carol.
mm.
Beautiful.
That's such a
We're not
simple
alone.
two words.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too, right? So again, back
Yeah.
to that normalizing, right? We like to feel isolated. In fact, the three components that make up self-compassion is mindfulness, loving kindness to yourself, and common humanity. So this reminds
Oh,
me
yes.
of the third element in self-compassion, common humanity, realizing that in your pain and suffering, but actually you're not alone because
You're not
um,
alone.
we,
Yes.
we sometimes get tricked, right? Because the pain is so bad, we think that, oh, I'm the only one suffering here. But the reality is the human condition. Suffering is part of the human condition. How can you be the only one? But you can be so embedded in your own inner world of pain, you forgot that there's other people who is having the same challenge that I have. And then that start to
Yeah.
do magic in your brain that, oh, okay, I'm not alone. Suddenly the pain is less. It's very psychological, but then we are psychological beings. So I think that common humanity piece is important. Having dialogues like that will, I'm hoping, help women to realize this piece as well. Common humanity. Oh, actually, lots of women experience what I'm going through, and then suddenly you don't feel so alone. Suddenly, when you don't feel so alone, that's where hope comes in, and hope is so important in our lives, and especially in this crazy world. This sense of hope is, I think, is a very, very important piece that we
Correct.
sometimes
Yes.
underestimate, and then we're like, what is this? Hope sounds very iffy. Without hope, then what's the point of living, right? Hope is really
Good.
important. So for me, when it comes to She Network, my vision and my hope is that She Network would be that safe and nurturing environment where such matters of the heart are being discussed, and we're able to support and learn from other people, having open conversations like the ones that we're having right now, so that women can join in the conversation, or if they're not ready, then just meditate on what other brave women have shared for their own growth, right? Either way, it works for me. It doesn't matter. Whatever that works for you works for me. But it's, to me, it's like me as the founder of She Network, it's my job to make sure these conversations are there, made available for you in your own time, in your own comfort. You can decide what you want to do with it, but it is my job, right, to make sure that the environment piece is there, psychological safety is there, and the resources is there. And for me, conversations like this is our resource. I mean, like, let's face it, Carol and I, we're not paid to do this every
I
other
know.
week.
Yes.
It's a lot of
Understand.
planning and background
Yes.
research to prepare to
Yes.
produce this show, right? We're not paid, but this is my passion and my vision,
Yes.
and I really
Understand.
want women to band together, because that's what we do best. Like, even from eons ago, generation ago, we always come together. Women are always meeting together, right? They're
Mm.
doing raising kids together. We're really good at this community village spirit, and I kind of want to bring that back. I think in a modern society, we're quite caught up with ourselves, what we do, what I do with my family. But I think we need to make time to be with other women and talk about things like that. And you can't talk
Yeah.
with your husband. You can't say this to your mother-in-law. You have to have this conversation with
Yeah.
other women, and that will help you grow. So one of the things that I'm very passionate to always talk about is that we're so caught up in our roles. We think that we are our role, right? But we are not our role. We are not first a mother or first a daughter. We are first a woman. We are born female. But we forget that we are women, then we get very caught up in all these different roles. But you need to nurture this woman, right? And by coming together with other women, you nurture this woman, and this woman become powerful, right? The woman is filled up with love and care for herself and from the community. Then now this woman can go out and so powerfully do what she does in all the different roles that she does, right? But you need to nurture this woman, and somehow I feel like it's lost. We're so busy playing our role, and then in our mind, our identity is so tight with our role, we forgot that we are women.
Mm.
So we are women first. So So that's kind of one of my passion. I want to bring women back to the remembrance of yourself. Celebrate that you are a woman. That's why Carol and I decided, let's not just focus on the strength. We also want to celebrate being a woman, being playful with this amazing body that we're born with. Why are we not celebrating being a woman? So that's why we decided, okay, let's call the show She's Strong and Sassy. Let's bring back the fun. Let's bring back the celebration of being a woman. So I think when we have this community, then we can have fun together, we can grow together, and you know what? We can be brave together. No one say you have to do this alone, because I think we are in this wholehearted journey together.
Together, yes.
If you are ready.
You did a great job, guys, ladies. Fantastic, amazing.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Laura. So
Really cool,
wow,
really cool.
like time flies when we're having such deep conversation, Carol. Oh my gosh, every time we have
It's
this
1
episode,
hour and 14
yeah,
minutes.
but it doesn't feel that way, isn't it? So it's like, wow, we're so full of deep wisdom, learning from one another. So, Nora, what is your final tip for being shame resilient?
I think, be true to yourself. I think that's important. Be authentic. Know who you are. I mean, do a lot of self-reflection and find out what, who, why, and where are you going and what do you want to be. That's important, because sometimes in our chaotic, you just mentioned it, in our chaotic daily life, the women, they forget to know who they are. They forget to know, who am I? What am I here for? Because they're busy balancing roles, being this and that. They don't know. Why don't you just sit down and meditate and say, hey, you know what? This is me. This is who I am. This is what I want. And ask yourself how you're going to be that person that you want to become. Just go into yourself. I think it's
Oh,
important.
I'm loving the
Yeah.
energy right now.
Yes.
So
Yes.
good. So
Yeah.
good.
It is. Well, for me, it's having to recognize, first of all, having the recognition and awareness that shame is a feeling. And being a feeling, you can definitely overcome. And one of the ways to overcome it, personally, I like to actually journal. I like to put down some of the negative thoughts that I have. I mean, I'm still a work in progress. Sometimes I have self
Yes.
doubt. And a lot
We
of the
all are.
times, I have all this, internal conversations and I'm wondering whether if I can do it or not. And fear, always, constantly. So when I put it down and I want to have it there and then tell myself I want to feel it the opposite way. So when you have that down, put it down that you want to feel the opposite way and make a conscious effort, to create that for yourself. And it is a form of self-love, and it is also a form of building shame resilient. What about you, Joy?
Nice.
Nice. Very
Well,
nice.
for me, I believe that I'm still going to come, like I'm going to be very naive about this for a long, long time. I still believe that self-compassion is part of the formula, and the antidote, part of the antidote to being shame resilient. Because when you have self-love, you won't be thinking of shame, right? It doesn't work, right? And you will be
Mm.
thinking about taking care of yourself the healthy way, the holistic way. And I think it helps maybe have a coach or a mentor or take some kind of course. Well, for we at Super Pack, we're really passionate about teaching character strengths and self-compassion, because I think these two go together very powerfully. We also teach other well-being tools. I think really learn to educate and empower yourself with all these critical well-being skills, because we're not taught that in schools, sadly. So you
No.
have to take responsibility and take outside courses, and that's why I'm so passionate about it, because hopefully one day schools will have these tools that I have, that would be like common knowledge, and I don't even like I'll be out of business because all of you know it. And like I hope for that day where I'll be out of business, because really these are crucial well-being tools that everybody should know. But at the moment that's not the case. So then that's where I show up and do my part. And I think all just join our Strong and Sassy program and smash shame together with other women, if you rather do it in a group collectively, so that no woman should ever feel alone in this journey, that in this desire to heal yourself. We are in this wholehearted journey together.
Together.
Yes, I think that the moment you can realize and really, really embody this knowledge that you are not alone. And that's when I think true magic and transformation can happen. But you must have that faith. If you can't have that faith in yourself, then come and have that faith in collective, because maybe it's easier for you to have faith in a collective, leaning on other
Yeah.
women for a while you get yourself strong, right? And nobody minds, right? We're here together. So have faith in the collective if you are not strong enough to just have faith in yourself. But you see, we are here, resources is available. There is no excuse. The only thing left is choice, making the right choice for yourself.
Well done. Well said.
Thank you, Nora, for coming on our show, and we have such a
My
deep
pleasure.
conversation. So
My
really,
pleasure.
really happy to have you, and hopefully we will see more of you as well in She Network, and perhaps we can do more things in the coming year as well. Mhm.
I learned a lot today from you both, honestly.
Oh,
So many take home messages and so many nuggets of wisdom. Really, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been a pleasure. And you guys, you ladies really rock. Keep
oh, thank
going.
you, thank you.
Thank
Let's keep
you.
rocking together. So I think this is time for our lotus pose. Nice. This is like a Asian lotus because it's from Singapore and Malaysia.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for watching. Please share this because this is a conversation that many women should be listening to. Thank you for watching. Until the next episode, everyone please take care and stay strong and sassy. Okay, bye.
Stay safe, everybody. Till then again. Bye bye. Thank you for watching.